Hey everybody, Phil Joes here. Thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel. I appreciate it. Hey, thanks to Lakewood Emergency Vehicles. They're the ones who posted this video, took this video. Really do appreciate that. Commercial building fire and a couple of good learning points. Thanks to the new subscribers out there, Kendall Kidd, D Creighton 987, Drew Perkins, and Jason Moore. Thanks today. Hey, we're not live today. I'm on recording because I'm on the road. This will be posted on Thursday, so I'll have the day before I'll be teaching at Firehouse in Columbus, doing some tactical decision making for chief officers. So if you were in my class yesterday, hey, thanks for checking me out today. I appreciate that. Otherwise, if you want to have some comments, don't have the chat going right now, but just type me a message in the comments or something, I'll get back to you. What we're looking at today, this video is a little bit hard to see, and that's okay. If you want, you can always go to the original, which I've linked. And I found it from Dave Statter's website, so if you haven't seen Statter, I've used his stuff. I find videos on his site regularly because he does such a good job. So that's Statter 911, really easy to find. If you want some good videos, you want some good content, go to Dave's site and check it out. And this link and Dave's link will be in the show notes. So next week, we will also be recorded rather than live. I'll be teaching a class in Palo Alto next week, Thursday. So maybe a couple of recordings here over the next few weeks, and we'll get live as soon as we can. So today we're looking at, remember, we're always thinking of smoke in terms of the four attributes, right? Volume, velocity, density, color. And we spent a lot of time talking about velocity and density because they do matter a ton. Velocity is sort of the king of now. Where is the fire now? What's going on now, right? And density is sort of the king of the future. Where's the fire going? What's going to be next? Those sorts of things, right? But volume, in this case, we're going to look at volume, and we're going to relate it to another part of reading smoke, which is the rate of change. How fast are things changing? And we look at that in terms of two questions. The first being the rate of change is like how fast are things changing, right? Are they getting, when we're looking at, we're talking about, are they getting better or worse, right? And then is it taking seconds or minutes, right? And so those two questions we look at, better or worse, seconds or minutes. And in this case, what we're looking at is is it worse, right? The fire is getting worse relatively quickly. That's a little bit tough to tell for sure, just whether it's the pace, but we can look right away. Like I said, this is going to be hard to see, but there is a lot of smoke coming out of this place, and there's a big column sort of in the back. There's a little coming out up front, and there's sort of this big column in the back. And even between those two, let me go back to here. Right, I don't know what the time difference is, right? There's a jump in the video, and I don't know what the time difference is. It can't be a lot, though, because the sky doesn't change that much. But over a relatively short period of time, we're going to start to see significant changes in the amount of smoke back here, right? And so when we see that rapid increase in volume, that's telling us that the fire is getting worse very, very quickly. Now, there's a couple ways that can happen. One is just straight up extension, right? The fire is extending into new areas, getting more fuel. Remember, smoke is fuel, right? So getting into more areas, getting more fuel. And I mean, it's like blotting out the sky here, right? How much smoke there is. If you watch the original video and listen to it, you can actually hear there's a radio report from the Charlie side saying there's heavy smoke coming out of the second floor 2 and the attic, right, which we can definitely see here. But we start to look at this volume of smoke and think, okay, one potential is fire extension, right? Another is that the fire has gone from being fuel controlled, which means that there's plenty of oxygen available. That's generally early in the life of the fire to ventilation controlled or ventilation limited, which means that there's way more fuel being produced. And since smoke is fuel, or I should say way more fuel being produced than is being consumed or can be consumed with the available air/oxygen, right? And so since smoke is fuel, that fuel is coming out, and we see it here just in a huge column coming out of the back here. And if you look at this video, you can see it's coming out the cracks and seams and stuff all the way down this floor too, down towards the Bravo side. Like I said, it's a little bit hard to see, especially in my screen capture, but this is a great view of just look at the velocity and density too. Not only is it a lot, but look at the velocity and density that's coming out up there, and just along these eaves and stuff along the top, right? So when we're looking at this, that rate of change and the overall volume, right? So what you got to ask yourself is, based on the size of structure, based on how fast this fire is progressing right now, is what we're doing right now going to be effective in a time frame, right, that allows us to get over the top on putting this fire out? And so very often what will happen, excuse me while I rub my eye a little bit, sorry about that, what will happen is you get started on operation, and without going back to the smoke read, if the fire behavior and the size of the fire changes or the way it's presenting changes, and you don't see that or don't recognize that, you can continue on a path that's not in the end going to be effective. And I'm not saying that's what they did here. I'm just using that as an example, because the fire may already be past what you're doing. So a good example of that would be you're cutting a trench, and it takes you some time to cut it, and you don't recognize the trench is designed to cut it off from maybe the rest of the building. And you started too close to the fire maybe, but you don't recognize that the fire is already behind you or beyond you while you're cutting, because you're so focused on cutting, right? That stuff happens, and that could happen in a case like this where volume, the rate of change of volume is just really, really fast. Significant increase in volume, and also, by the way, velocity and density. I mean, this is some really dense smoke. It's churning way up in the air. I mean, think about how much fire there has to be inside this commercial structure to be putting out this volume from here all the way over to here, right? You're looking at 20 or 30 feet wide, maybe even bigger wide, that's putting out a significant column of turbulent, thick black smoke, right? So, and here we're getting into it's actually starting to light off, and they're going to change some of their tactics. They were trying to get in, now they're going to use some deck ends and stuff. And look at the push all the way down this side, the velocity and the density with which it's coming out along these cracks and seams all the way down this edge, even down into these windows down over here. Right, so we're looking at, on this video, is roughly 3 minutes, and we know just from the way the video chops it, it's got a little more time there, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 minutes. And so you can see that if you get engaged in operation, like a forcible entry on a commercial occupancy, if that takes you 3 or 4 minutes and you haven't gone back to do an inventory of smoke and changed your assessment of the current conditions, they can change significantly over a short period of time, right? And so what we're looking at here is using volume and measuring it against the rate of change questions. Is it getting better or worse? And is it taking seconds or minutes? And this one's maybe sort of in the middle, right? Where it's not going to take 15 or 20 minutes. So maybe 100 seconds or 120 seconds, a significant change in, I mean, look at this column, right? If I take it all the way back to where we started, I mean, just a huge difference between the two, right? And think about this, that if you come in and you describe this smoke as you were coming in on your size up, and then say a later arriving unit or the chief gets there, and then they see this, right? That's a significantly different fire than the one that you transmitted on the radio a couple of minutes ago. Right, so volume matters, and making sure that we're keeping an eye on all four attributes, that we're going not just an initial inventory, but an inventory over the course of time to understand the rate of change. Is it getting better or worse in minutes or seconds, and adjusting our tactics and our strategy accordingly. All right, hey, thanks for being here this week. Thanks to all the new subscribers. I appreciate them, and I appreciate you. Anybody who's tuning in and seeing the videos, I appreciate that. You can see a list of the classes. There's a bunch of classes. I'm booked pretty solid really through March of next year, March or April of next year, and so there's going to be a lot of opportunity to come see me in person. And if you're watching me on YouTube regularly, and then you get a chance to say hi to me at one of the conferences or one of the places where I'm teaching, it'd be great. It'd be great to put a face with a name for people like D Creighton 987 or Kendall Kidd who subscribed this week, right? Spread the word, and thanks for being part of the Reading Smoke Nation. I really do appreciate it. This is Phil Jose for Reading Smoke, and I'm out.